Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lower Your Shoulder podcast with me, Ben McKelvey.
And Jake Robbins.
Welcome.
Right, we've had a couple of weeks off, been slacking, but that's because we've been working hard on other stuff. But we have just finished filming a performance video for a new song that's coming out. Well, who knows, let's be honest, but we've been working really hard on a project. The cat is pretty much out of the bag. The project is called Doubt Kills. It is mine and Ben's new project together. And this has been a long time coming, and we're not going to go too much into the story of Doubt Kills, but what it has done, it has inspired a chat that I want to have with you, Ben, based on the feelings that I got after we finished the video. And it's kind of reinforced why you've got to just keep going and you've got to keep making stuff, because that feeling you get after you set out to do a task which seems, doable, but you're trying to push beyond what you think you can do. And then you watch it back and you're like, how have we pulled that off?
Yeah. That's not the first time you and I have thought that. And it is just the best feeling, isn't it?
That's ultimately every reason to create, because it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel cooler than you are. It makes you feel like, that feeling, it's like magic. That because when you literally can't connect the dots anymore and you're like, how have we done that? So for me and Ben, this concept of a band been vaguely in existence for years, and it took sitting down with each other to like actually write something. We didn't know how that was going to go, overcome that hurdle. Right, we wrote a song. Okay, now we've actually got to like, what's the concept? What's the band name? What's this? What's that? And then when you get to the end of like what you essentially is the product, and we are trying to really hone in on a product here, and you watch it back, you literally do forget how you got there.
Yeah.
And that feeling is essentially like magic.
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest hurdles we had to overcome was how different putting out music is now to when we first started, because this project is way more like the genre that we grew up in, right? It's like kind of that punk rock sort of thing. But you and I have been in that game for quite a long time, and you never really had to think about much else other than the music. You make a song or you write an album. You might do like a music video, but really it's like you just knock the songs out. You put out an album, you go on tour, sell some t-shirts and rinse and repeat, right? Whereas this time around, we had to think about a lot of stuff. It was kind of like, if we're actually going to cut through and make some noise and get people's attention, we're going to have a whole world built around this thing. And when you start to see everything coming together, and like the music video that we shot the other day, and you look back on it and you're like, oh man, this feels so good, it feels so right. And it's just
I mean, we were literally high-fiving going, how have we done this?
I know. Where do you want to start talking about? Do you want to start talking about where we are right now? Well, where we're sitting in?
I guess, we are literally in my studio where we've pulled everything out, and we started off by I bought this massive backdrop off Amazon, where else, and was like, I bought the stands. I was like, measured it, and it's like, oh, that'll go. It literally just fit. But then when we put that up, we're like, this isn't going to work. It's like not enough of a room. You realize how big a backdrop needs to be for that to be the only thing you see. So,
well, we needed to be twice as big, because we put it on one wall and we were like, we got the camera and like the wide angle lens, and we're like, well, that's not going to work, is it? So then we had to put another wall up, but then you got to like try and tie that in with like, make sure the floor looks cool and all the rest of it. And we had 10 meters of roll. And I remember we first put it up, you were like, mate, don't worry if it rips, we've got 10 meters worth. And when we actually put it up, it was exactly 10 meters. We were like, oh my God, don't touch anything. Don't rip anything. Careful where you stand. Take your shoes off.
So that is the backdrop that you will be seeing if you're watching this episode, which be, that's kind of a new feature. These these episodes are up on YouTube as well if you want to check those out. Yeah, so we had to stick them to the wall. And whilst I have been thinking of redecorating this studio for a while, I don't know how we're going to get it down, because we use like double-sided, it's called like, I don't know, it's not quite hard as nails stuff.
That stuff is so sticky, man. We put one bit up wrong in the corner and it's still up there, and it's like, mate, that ain't coming down.
That's
ever.
not coming down.
That's never coming down. It's so sticky.
So all in all, I might just leave it, because it does feel cool, but unfortunately all the stuff does have to come back in here. But maybe we can work around. I mean, let's be honest, it was an absolute tip before, so
yeah, it looks better.
It looks a lot better.
I also made me laugh because we you know, we organize ourselves the best that we can, but we always forget stuff, and there's a lot to think about when you're putting stuff together. And we're not like set builders or camera guys or lighting engineers. Like, we don't have a clue. We're just like winging it. And we put up this backdrop, and we had like a tiny bit of tape left. So all along the top of this backdrop are just tiny bits of gaffer tape rather than one big bit. And I fully expected the next day you were going to call me. We built the set the day before we filmed. And then I was expecting you to call me the next day and be like, it's all fallen down. It's like, it's carnage here. But it stayed up.
It stayed up.
Good old gaffer tape.
Even
it's
better.
musician's best friend,
it
gaffer
is.
tape.
And even better, we both were like, oh, I got some at home. Okay, well, remember to bring it tomorrow. Neither of us remembered.
Both got the tape. Yeah, I know.
So luckily it didn't fall down. But yeah, I guess the key to achieving what we feel like we've achieved, and like essentially what I'm trying to say and from this is that we are quite ambitious. So like all the stuff we're saying that we need to build a world around Doubt Kills, because I don't know, we're into too many different forms of media. Like we've got some really funny stuff that we've worked on, or stuff that we've found funny, and we got really into that, which delayed doing the podcast. We like bought mics and stuff, and then with this video, like this is actually only the first part of the video. We've got a whole nother part of the video to shoot. But I don't know, through being ambitious, it's a weird one. With ambition, it can be something that holds you back, because sometimes when things get really hard, things take longer. Because let's be honest, there's been times where this is like, oh, is this ever going to be done? Just to do one song.
No, I know.
So it can be the wrong way to go, but the end result for us, I think luckily because we have other things going on, and we were able to commit to each other in terms of like, come on, this is our outlet. You know, it really became that. And I guess the reason things are so different for us is it's a lot harder for us to just pick up and get in a van and go in terms of building a fan base. So we've, at this age,
and it's just times have changed.
Times
right?
have changed, you know, but also just like where we are in our lives.
Yeah, of course.
Has also kind of impacted what we deem as like how this might have an impact. And at the very least, it's very satisfying just creating the world and the product and the content around it. We're talking about this and it's not even out, but like we've got a lot of stuff to come out, and we're really trying to plan a whole year and beyond that for how we keep this going.
I think one of the best things that we did recently, and we've tried to do it in the past, but I feel like we've really kind of nailed it now. And for any bands listening that kind of DIY and their own label and all that kind of stuff, delegating exact and like very precise tasks to each other was a bit of a game changer, I felt recently. Because in terms of like putting out a song, as most musicians listening to this will know, it's not just about the song. Like the song is in a weird way the easy bit now, because you write the song, you record it. Now then after that you need to think about all the promo material you're going to do. Like you got to shoot a music video, you got to do it behind the scenes of that music video, you should do a podcast about that music video, you need to do a photo shoot, you need to then edit all of that stuff together, then you need to get it out on the different kind of platforms, longer form content for YouTube, then shorter content for TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And you and I using our strengths to be like, right, what are you good at and what am I good at and what do we like doing? You know, like putting the behind the scenes vlogs together, I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I found that I've got really quick at editing that kind of stuff. Just take charge of that. That's my job. And then for you, it'd be organizing the podcast and getting that out and ready, as well as obviously you're producing the music and that kind of stuff. And yeah, delegating tasks and being like, that is your job in this operation. I would highly recommend any creatives to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really helped. Obviously, if you're doing things on your own, that's a bit more difficult. But I'm sure you've probably got friends that, if you're in the arts, you've probably got friends around you that are doing slightly different jobs. But if you're in a band, the sooner you can figure that out, the more quickly you can move in terms of everything. Even for us now, we know all this stuff, but it's still quite hard to identify how you define certain roles sometimes. And I think we've only, like you say, just cracked it, where I feel like we are moving a little bit quicker behind the scenes. And that's quite enjoyable, because whilst someone's doing this, the other person's doing that, and two things are getting done.
What's ironic as well is that I recently, I haven't edited, I'll put it out yet, but recently did like a day in the life vlog. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to like capture all this madness that we do. You know, it's like getting up at 4:30 in the morning and doing this and that, and then be like, right, we're going to do a podcast, and now we're going to do this. But of course, now I need to like sit down and actually edit that. And you're like, that's taking editing time to do it. It's there's so much you can do. And funny. If you can organize it and also just like learn to enjoy it. Like I never used to enjoy editing video. I'd be like, oh, it's just like, I'm not supposed to be doing this and I don't really know what I'm doing. And it's like, just get good at it and then you enjoy it more. Yeah. It's like anything.
I think I was just going to say the same thing. Never thought I would like the idea of vlogging. I think the word doesn't help. But I think really what it is documenting what you are doing together. And it's just like, actually, when you watch it back for yourself, you're like, oh, that's a really cool thing. I'll never forget that now.
I'm glad we've got that.
Yeah, I'm glad we've got that, because you do so much stuff and it just blends into one. And like, I think if you can it's like any form of content. If you can satisfy yourself, chances are that you'll enjoy it more. And then, you know, if other people enjoy it, it's a bonus. And I genuinely, I think that's where we are at now, because we're not even sharing it with anyone yet, we're enjoying all the aspects of it.
And people, like, if you're looking for like fans, I really believe that an audience falls in love with the people in the act as much as the music nowadays, or even maybe even more so. So if you can take people on that journey and be like, oh, look what this guy did and look how hard he works, and it makes you like the music more. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and
I think
it's important to document all that stuff.
Absolutely. I think you do have to figure out like what's your version of documenting, because for us, we are not taking ourselves too seriously. We're not trying to be necessarily credible in terms of, we are just who we are, and we're just trying to show, you know, this is what we do. We really enjoy what we do. If you are more about the music, so like you have to find a way to tell the story in terms of, if you're not so much of like a charismatic character, you have to find your version of documenting, whether it's like, I don't know, getting really deep into the process of how you make a certain sound. That is as much, for some people, if they're into you based on that, that's what they're going to get into. What we're saying from our point of view is probably going to be slightly different for other people who have maybe like quieter sounding music, or you do have to figure it out for yourself. But if you can just work out what you enjoy, maybe it's you get a certain camera which you just really love the feel of how it is in your hand, whether it's disposable and you just click it and it's done with, and it gives you cool images. Like, you've got to find your way of doing it. But yeah, I feel like for us, we've cracked it at the moment. And I just actually want to just do more, because I've realized over the years, we've done a lot of stuff and probably people don't realize what we've done. And maybe actually we would probably be further along if we'd documented that a bit more over the years. So,
well, we were talking the other day about like the album documentaries we put together for my stuff, and you know, when like the anniversaries come round, or you know, it pops up every now and then, you see a clip of it, or you know, it comes up on your phone, or this time 5 years ago, whatever, and then you look back on it. There's a couple of records that we've done that we didn't document, that I can't remember the process at all, and it's such a shame because it would be really cool to watch that back. So even if it is just for yourself, it's worth doing.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. Like if it helps, think of it like an old school home video.
Yeah,
like,
it
is like that, and it's whilst you can be like, oh, where's the time gone? Which is the negative aspect. It makes you smile, and you're like, oh, that was really cool. We did that. So. Let's go back to the video that we shot itself. Yeah, the video we just shot was essentially a very simple performance video. We set out some goals and we decide on what we're going to try achieve. It might not end up like that. That's what we think we're trying to do. But part of me is like, we've got one video, but that isn't what we were trying to do. So the rest of the video might become a separate video. But we've also realized recently, for us, it's more important just to put yourself in the situation, block out the time,
and see what happens.
And see what happens. It's very rare that we finish and aren't like, oh, that actually came out better
That's
than I
exactly
thought.
what we planned. I mean, even when we did a shot at the end of the video where we just kind of held the camera, didn't plan any of that.
No.
And I don't even know how, I don't know if it was that your idea to do that, or
I wanted to do it. It felt like we'd got it.
I was like, we don't need to do that. And you're like, come on, let's just try it. And we're just dancing around like a couple of prats arguing over a camera. And actually, all you need is like 2 or 3 really good shots. And we looked back on it, we're like, I'm so glad that we did that. It's just, you have to wing it.
You do have to wing it a bit. Because actually, some of the best shots come from that. The planned stuff is sometimes just the like foundation of it all, but that's what I love. And you know, when you're doing a video and you're like, okay, we've basically got it. Let's just try some stuff. That's when you really get the gold.
It's funny as well because you had issues with your guitar strap, right? How many times that fell off? I don't know. We didn't even get a full take with it actually on. But then there was a shot. See, if we'd had the option to have like guitar strap locks or figured out a way to actually sort it out.
So rookie anyway, not to have them. But anyway.
But then we got a shot where you were kind of rocking out, and just before the bridge, when it breaks right down, the strap fell off, and then you just got right into the camera, and it's probably the best shot of the video.
Yeah.
Because it just looks so good, and it looks like it was on purpose, but it obviously wasn't. And it's like, just goes to show you, it's like you can plan all you want, but some of the best stuff you're going to get are just like, oh, that just happened, you know?
Yeah, and there is a point, like when we were setting up, always this happens with me and Ben. We're like, we've got a little bit better at this, but it used to be like, right, we'll set up at 10, then we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then we'll have it all done by like 3 o'clock. I mean, we don't even start that early anymore because of our day jobs, but that's what it used to be like. Now we try and like break it down and be like, day 1 is this set up, and then day 2 is this. But what we're finding is that it's turning into like 5-day shoots just to do one.
Yeah, we had that as well recently, didn't we? When we were filming
some
skits,
promo stuff,
like promo stuff. But it's only because we want to get it right, and also you got to factor in time when things go wrong, and like the bigger, higher quality stuff you're trying to do, which we always try and really push ourselves to
shoot
do,
above our station, basically.
Which is it's great, but like we don't know how to run everything perfectly, and also it's just a lot to remember. So we can do a shot. We did some filming in a car a few weeks ago, and we bought all the gear. We had like the bracket, and then you'd be driving along, and you'd be like, "Oh fuck, we didn't charge the camera," and then you'd be like, "Oh, we can't go down that road. It's too bumpy." And then you look back on it, and you're like, "Oh, it was perfect, like sound wise," but then the videos thing, and then it'd be like, "Oh, the mic has run out of battery that's doing the audio," and it's like.
Actually, we didn't even use any of that.
Oh yeah, we didn't even use it yet. But you know what I mean? It's like
I know.
It's you learn and you just got to go for it. Like you just have to just dig in and just be like this stuff. And we ordered these lights for the shoot. We don't have a fucking clue how they worked. We're like looking at it and we were like, oh, we've got to download an app to use these. And like I just figured out how to turn it on by accident. And then we were like, oh, it looks great, but it's pink. And we need it to be white. And we're like, oh, how do we change that then?
Get a YouTube video up.
Yeah. Thanks, YouTube. You've helped us so many times.
So much. But yeah, there's so much of that. And you just have to learn how to pursue and keep pushing, because when you're in the middle of it, you're just like, oh, we're in the middle of it now. Come on, we've set it all up. Let's do another day. Come on, we'll set up.
I think we also need to talk about what happened the first take of the drums.
Well, yeah, it's time. Let's do it.
Unbelievable. So day one, we built the set and really happy with it. Day two, we spent a while getting the lights right, set up the drums, did some kind of test shots, unloaded all that, and it's like the time, innit? We filmed all that, then we took the card out, we uploaded the footage, and we're like, yeah, cool, right, that looks good, those shots look good, let's try it with the color. Anyway, we did all that, and we're like, great, really pleased with it, looks absolutely awesome. How have we pulled this off? So like, right, change your outfit to get ready for a proper shoot. Set it all up. It's like, right, let's go for it. First take, I busted my finger and literally came in on the chorus playing the drums, just smashed it straight away. I was like, gritted my teeth, got through that take, and I was like, oh, this is pretty sore.
I didn't even notice, by the way.
Yeah.
I did not notice. So like, I don't know how. I mean, you can see it when you watch it back, a little wince on your face, but still
kept character.
You kept character and you just kept going.
And then we did, I think, 3 or 4 more takes when I was just like, I can't do anymore. And ended up going to a pharmacy to get it strapped, kept an eye on it. Then the next morning woke up, I was like, I need to go to A&E. Went down A&E, I called Jake, I was just like, right, I'm going down the hospital, but I don't care if it's broken, we are still filming today. So get the kit set up, I'll be there as soon as I can. Fortunately, it wasn't broken, it was just like ligament damage and like something to do with the plate in there somewhere. I wasn't really listening. So as soon as they said it wasn't broken, I was like, cool, great, let's crack on. So then came here, we shot your pieces and learned how to hold the camera with a broken finger or a busted finger. But yeah, you got to go on with it.
I mean, you can't script that stuff. Like,
unbelievable.
I'm the worst. I was like, oh no, what can you do?
Yeah.
How many more takes you do?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, well, it's like,
but it's like, we'd spent like the evening on Monday setting it up. Went late. We'd hired the lights. I'd also hired a camera.
And also, we were obviously on a time thing because the lights had to get sent back. We get an extra day?
Yeah, we got an extra day
got an extra day with them.
We didn't know to get an extra 2 days. Anyway, we got it all done within, the next batch of shots that you filmed. But yeah, it didn't go to plan. But in the end, it didn't matter because what was great is because we were doing an indoor shoot and we were able to actually watch it back a bit, which gives you the energy. You're like, I don't care, this looks great, let's just keep going.
That was a good thing that we've learned recently. Be like, oh my God, outdoor shoots in this country, especially in the winter or early spring, just don't. They are so annoying. Like, it's freezing cold, the wind's picking up on the mics, your kit gets dirty. I had to clean my headphones the other day from the skit shoot that we did, and it was just like, how is this kit so much mud everywhere? And also filming with food, we've also learned that it's like,
well, I don't know why we're obsessed with that. Anyway, that's for another time.
Oh dear.
As I said before, we've been working on this project a long time, and I think the reason we've been able to keep at it is because we have other creative outlets that we've got going on. You've got Campaign for Nothing, you've got your solo stuff. I dabble in my solo stuff, but I also produce other bands. I've got Cusp, who I work with very closely, and it kind of satisfies those other aspects of what I'm looking for out of being creative. But what has been missing is this side of things for me. And right now, where we are at the minute is just like, I'm feeling so fulfilled creatively.
Well, we were just talking about that before we started, weren't we? And yeah, I feel exactly the same. For me, it's, I've always been, for the last 10 years or so, maybe longer, been doing solo stuff, which has been great and done a lot of cool stuff. Worked with you a lot, obviously, but it's sharing the highs that I was missing
Yeah.
for a long time, because when an album comes out, or when you finish a music video, when you play a cool gig, like, you'll be working with people when you're doing solo stuff, but it's just not the same.
It's not theirs. It's yours.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's why building the label up with Lower Your Shoulder for me is very exciting, because I get to be part of all these really cool creative projects, and I get to actually share the joy with people. So obviously with Doubt Kills, that's me and you, and you know, like, finishing the performance side of the music video the other day was just felt so good, and like, you get to really share that with someone. And similarly, we just wrapped a music video for Campaign for Nothing that me and Mike just went down to a rehearsal room and shot a video for. And yeah, again, you get to share that joy rather than just doing it on your own.
Yeah.
And I've loved doing the solo stuff, and I'll probably always do solo material in one form or another. But yeah, that's what was missing for me, and I've realized that recently, like, how much I love that and how much I kind of really crave it now. And it's probably why we're so kind of driven to make more and more stuff now, because you know, it's you know, you've got some solo stuff you've put out and more kicking around, but it's hard to have that drive when you don't get to share it with someone.
You don't have the other person going, oh, have you done this yet? Have you done that yet?
Yeah.
And, you know, for anyone who's, you know, for yourself, like, you were doing solo stuff on your own for a long time, to have that internal drive, I admire so much. I've had it, you know, I do a lot of work, you know, when it comes to production and stuff like that. But yeah, I found, particularly with Vincent George, when my real musical role has been producing, I found it hard to like really be like, okay, you got to get it done, because there's not really anyone like, and I'm now trying to get you to give me that, so I have someone to be like, come on, get that done.
But I think that's the difference now with Vincent George, is that I feel it will be more exciting because it's not just you putting out solo stuff, it's us putting a record out on the label. So actually, I feel like when the next Vincent George single comes out, whenever that is, that I'll be part of that in a sense, because it'll be putting out through the label. So I'll be like, oh, cool, let's try and do this for that, and think of some ideas together, and then we kind of get to share.
Yeah. Rather
than before, you know, when I've done solo stuff before, we were kind of running the label together. It was like, this is my solo thing on my label, you know, selling my merch and whatever. And it's kind of like, you know, you've been part of that journey for a long time, but just a kind of...
It would be like, come in, record it, have it produced, mixed, right, see you later, mate.
I'm going on tour for a month or whatever.
Go do what you want with it. See you next time. Like, it was, I would try and like, obviously I would always like say suggestions and stuff like that, but it wasn't quite that. But I think the main thing for me with Doubt Kills and then Vincent George is like, they are very clear different routes for like my creativity. And also then producing, you know, I like producing a certain thing, which I feel I'm good at, and satisfies a certain, you know, thing that I'm looking for. And then for the creative projects for myself, I want to try push them further aside to almost be uncomfortable, because part of what we've created with Doubt Kills is that for this project they're not essentially like proper characters in terms of actually being in the band, but as it unravels and we start putting stuff out, you'll see what we've created. But it's really fun because we have essentially developed roles which, you know, we get to either feel cool or lame.
You'll see what we mean.
You'll see what we mean about that. And we're trying to take influence from both extremes, like make ourselves feel cooler and then also not take ourselves too seriously and be able to take the piss out of ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we're still aspiring to do something which, let's face it, we don't have millions waiting to hear it, but it means a lot to us. And I just feel happier for doing it. Being honest, like having these now essentially like pillars of different things.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
Yeah,
man.
It just feels really cool.
I think I really love the getting into character when we're making stuff with Doubt Kills. You know, when me and you are writing in the studio, obviously it's just, or sitting down to talk about it like we are now, which obviously just ourselves. But whenever when we did a photo shoot or we did the music video, we filmed the skits and we made the content, we got to actually be the characters. And it does take a skill that took me a long time to do when you have to wear the different hats. But once you get comfortable at doing that, it does make life a lot easier. So for me, take for example, like this morning, I just had like my label head on. I was like I edited a behind the scenes vlog for the shoot that we did. I finished up the Campaign for Nothing music video. I was coloring it and that kind of stuff. And it's right, I'm going to schedule this out, send the vlog over to you to have a look at. But like, cool, right, let's get that. And you just get in that work mode. Then we come over here and it's like, cool, now we can relax and be ourselves and have a chat. And then if we were doing something, doubt kills later on, it could be like, cool, you get in that mind frame, you're like, right, now I'm here for this job.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Like, but once you lean into it and you just enjoy it, I found that it is it was just more enjoyable, obviously.
It is. I guess all of this is, we're kind of landing on really why to do it and have the ambition. It's the joy of accomplishing something you set out to do, which comes back better than you hoped when you're shooting for the stars. We've had a lot of fun making all this stuff, and making all this stuff then makes you happier in other aspects of your life, because, then you go back to your other half and you're like in a good mood because you've just had a great time doing something.
Yeah.
So, I'm just very grateful for what we're doing at the moment.
It's easy I found before when I was doing stuff, I was getting burnt out. I haven't felt burnt out doing any of this.
No.
But I think that's just because it's new and exciting, but also just because, I don't know, really, it just feels different. I think it's sharing the grind with someone. It's like sharing like the joys, but also like they're like, oh shit, like that's gone wrong or whatever, and then you can like lean on each other a bit more and be like, cool, okay, well let's just replan. What do you think about this? And
well, we've built up the necessary skills to deal with that happening, because it's happened in the past. Like, we've done a lot of things where it's gone wrong, and you learn that it's not the end of the world. You just got to like go, no, it's cool. Let's just rework that. Let's
reset and go again.
Reset and go again. Yeah. Like, it may mean that for that day you're done and you're like, let's come back tomorrow. Or, I'm busy tomorrow. Oh no, it's all right. Let's just delay it by a week. Because in the grand scheme of things, the end product, the art, is the most important. So not the fact that it came out a week later. Yes, you've got to get things done. If you're trying to push to get things done, there's no shame in your diary being busy, because like we've said 100 times, we're in our mid-30s, like, it's hard to find the time. So when things go wrong, it can be frustrating, because you're like, I just want to get this out. And whilst I do feel like that, I also feel quite comfortable in the fact that we are creating something that in years from now we can look back on and be proud of. So that kind of keeps perspective over.
Yeah.
And also, we're trying to now plan for years to come, which means that I've been trying to get better at this, not just looking at the short term. I think we mentioned this before. I'm very short term in terms of I'm always head down just working, and I work as hard as I can, but sometimes don't lift my head up. So then when I have a bad day, that really impacts me more than it probably should, because I don't have perspective on where things are going. But I feel recently, because we've been talking about next year and longer term projects, that where we want to take this, and just, like how we keep doing this going into our 40s and 50s and what that looks like, it allows you to keep perspective. And I think, when
you don't feel like time is working against you then as well. You can actually be like, oh, this is going to be great. And when, it's just funny, because when you're younger, like in your teens, you're just like, and I wish someone told me this, because all you hear is they're the best times of your lives, which they are, but it makes you feel time's running out. That's all you feel. As like, for me to quote unquote make it, it's like,
my advice to anyone who's just making stuff is plan for the long term. Figure out a way to keep doing it for 20 years and allow it to build and build and build. Because then it doesn't matter how slow the build is, you're going to get to your end goal. Visualize what that is. Yeah. And I'm very good at giving advice, but it takes me a long time to adopt it myself. But that's really helped recently, is starting to change. Like week by week is not the way to go.
No, I've always been very like long-term
you're good at that. 100%.
Goal like setting, because what I tend to do is, at the beginning of the year, I'll just map out what I want to achieve. And one thing I learned over the years is that you can't control what people think of you or if they'll like what you're putting out, but what you can control is your work output. So, if our goal was to have 10,000 people listening to this podcast, we can't really control that. They're either going to listen to it or they're not, unless we sat 10,000 people down and fucking made them listen to it. But what you can do is you can be like, okay, if we can get 20 podcasts out this year, we'll get better at doing a podcast, right? And then next year, we need to do 30 or 40 podcasts. So we need to map out a way that we can do that as efficiently as possible. Look at the episodes people are enjoying the most, maybe do more like that kind of stuff. Same with music. I'll look at things and be like, okay, I'm moving away from solo stuff for a bit while we get the other projects off the ground. But in terms of the label, I would say, okay, how many songs did I put out last year? And I think it was, I don't know how many it was actually, I should know that, but whatever, let's say if it was 20 songs, I just try and do 10 to 20% more every year. So I'd be like, okay, well, I want to put out, 20, 24, 25 just tracks this year, whether it's my stuff, Doubt Kills, Campaign for Nothing, whatever. And then after that, it'll be a case of us doing more, but also working with other artists to then say, okay, maybe we can put out some songs with more bands on the label and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter if it's books you read to get yourself better at, articulating yourself better through words and songs or whatever it is. But yeah, long term, I think, is if you can map that. And also when you do have a bad week or even a bad month, we were saying the other day when we were like, the podcast is late or whatever. And I was like, mate, we didn't even have a podcast at the start of this year. It's like we've done, 4 or 5 episodes now. But look, let's do 20 episodes this year. If we do 20 episodes of a podcast, we didn't have a podcast a few months ago. And that's pretty good.
Yeah. and the funny thing is what's actually happened there is it's a little bit of, we filled the time with other stuff. It's also, ironically, you start and you don't think about it and you're just enjoying it. And then you get past that initial phase and you're like, oh, what are the good ones? Like, what should it be? And then you start overthinking it.
Yeah, overthinking and oh man, it's the killer.
The reason we kind of wanted to do one this week, and I know we probably spoke about ourselves and it's a bit all over the place again, but maybe that's just what this podcast is. And I guess that's a segue to say thank you to anyone who's listened. Like, we had some really cool messages. All we want to do is inspire people to make more, because I really believe there's so much value in making more. So if there's someone who's thinking about making stuff and is scared of doing it for whatever reason, just crack on, get stuck in. If there's someone who's lacked motivation recently, hopefully this inspires you to just get back on the horse, get back to it. Or if you're flying and you're just loving everything, hopefully this just gives you comfort knowing that other people are doing the same. Reach out. We love the messages. We're not claiming there's loads of messages, by the way, but the few, what I'm trying to say is, like, we've only had a handful of messages, but they have impact on us, and it's nice to see the impact back. So not focusing on the numbers, but actually let's just focus on the output, and we're going to try get back to just doing them regularly. Some will be hits, some will be misses. As we do more, we'll get better, and the podcast will kind of change into whatever it's going to be. We've talked about self-serving versus audience serving, and this is something you can think about for your content, is we don't want to talk constantly about what we're doing because you might not relate, but in another sense, maybe you can relate from being inspired that we're still trying to do what we're trying to do in our mid-30s. If there are things you want us to talk about, we'd love to know, because there's almost so many things to talk about. Sometimes it's hard to pick what to talk about. So we want to serve whatever small audience we have at the minute. And yeah, if we can give you more value from the episodes, that would be great, but we might need a little bit of help in what you want to hear. So let us know.
I just hope with all this, we just inspire people to just get out and make stuff. You
Absolutely.
know, first of all, make it for yourself, but also you never know who it's going to help as well. You know, and we've found that through music and various odds and ends of things that we've done. It's so important to create, man. Like the world needs creatives. It needs like that energy, that feel good fact to be put out into the world. It's just, if you can create, you just got to go and do it. Like, and you won't be perfect. It might not even be fucking good at the beginning, but that's not the point. The point is you're creating something, and it takes balls to do it. You know, like you might feel a bit weird putting yourself out there. Maybe if you're just starting, or maybe you're like, you've reached a road that, a bit of a crossroads, you're not sure which direction to take. But at the end of the day, just make what you think is great and what you love. And I guarantee you'll be able to find some people out there that will also love it just as much as you. And, you know, that's what it's about, right?
Absolutely. On that note, we're going to sign off for, I guess this is episode 5. I hope that's correct.
Think so.
Yeah, episode 5. We've got another one in the bag. So that will be going out probably following this episode. We don't know what we're going to talk about next. We are trying to map this out, but yeah, thank you for listening. We really appreciate your time. Please give Lower Your Shoulder a follow. Give Doubt Kills Music a follow. We're going to start putting stuff out there very soon, and all this will maybe make a bit more sense. So thanks again. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Bye now.